Good afternoon, guys. I'm Brian
Sawyer.
and we did our project on the Waterworks Visual Arts Center in downtown Salisbury.
Yeah, so today we'll be talking to you about how our project went with that business Waterworks. We'll first be looking at a little bit of background about Waterworks Visual Arts Center and also the problem that they were having. Then we'll look at the results of the study, and then lastly talk about our implications and recommendations that we have for Waterworks. So a little bit about Waterworks. They are a nonprofit organization, and they've been in the Rowan County community for 60 years. And then they are also the only teaching museum within a 40-mile radius of Salisbury. So that just shows that they want to be a leader and innovator in their exhibition of arts and also in their museum education. So Waterworks' mission statement is to provide diverse opportunities in the arts for all people through exhibition, education, and also through outreach programs. But unfortunately, for all those opportunities to happen, that means that they need funding. So Waterworks is viable due to their funding through sponsorships and donations, but they have been lacking that recently. So the research question that was proposed to us by Ms. Holly Zimke, who is the head and director of their marketing and development, was how can Waterworks receive more financial support? And the purpose that we wanted to look at in that decision problem is the lack of knowledge and awareness due to people just not knowing about it, or is it simply because businesses they just aren't interested in supporting a nonprofit for whatever reason that might be? So our key concepts in this project are going to be engagement, relativity, visibility, and also public awareness. And so for any nonprofit organization, it is important to be engaged and relative in the community that they are a part of. And so by becoming an active member in the community, by becoming an active member in the local area, not only can a nonprofit increase their recognition, but it can also show their importance and their relativity to the community. And so for visibility and public awareness, this is important for any organization or business to have. And so if people are going to be a patron to a business, they need to know that that business, it exists and that it's there. And so the method that we used for this project was a survey method, and it was approximately 15 questions depending on how you answered it. The least amount was 12 and the most was 16. And it was had a little bit of open-ended questions, but it was mostly multiple choice. And so this survey was sent out to just businesses in the Rowan County area. So that made this kind of challenging for us because we weren't able to send this out to each individual that we saw. It was simply just businesses in Rowan County. But we were still able to distribute 90 surveys to these businesses, and we received 38 completed surveys back, and we used 37 of those in our project.
Okay, so on to the results. We have quite a bit of results, but I'm not going to bore them with you. We put some in here that we thought were the most important. We have 7 here. So the first question we asked is, has your business ever financially supported a nonprofit organization? And so all 37 responses were recorded for this question. And 53% businesses answered yes, and 48% answered no. So about half have financially supported a nonprofit organization. The follow-up question to number 1 was, why have you never financially supported a nonprofit organization? And we only had a total of 18 responses, and this was the 48% that selected no in the previous question. Around 6%, I guess if you round up, selected never thought about financially supporting. 44% selected no benefits or interest in supporting, and half selected not financially able to. So another question we had asked was, would you consider financially supporting a nonprofit organization in the future if the opportunity presented itself? And again, this was of 18 responses that answered no in question 1. Around 80% selected, or 78% selected yes, and 22 selected no. So right there are businesses in Rowan County that would support a nonprofit organization if the opportunity had presented itself. We asked, are you aware Rowan County has several nonprofit organizations? And we had a full 37 responses to this question, and 73% selected yes. 27% selected no. But however, in a follow-up question after this one, we had asked about nonprofit organizations that businesses may be aware of in Rowan County. And only 4 businesses, it was 15% of the 73% selected yes. I'd mentioned the arts or art galleries, and that's what Waterworks falls into. We also asked, what would most likely trigger you to financially support a nonprofit? And once again, we had a total of 37 responses. 15% selected benefits as a member of the nonprofit. Around 38% selected social experiences provided by the nonprofit. 24% educational experiences provided. 20% selected opportunities to interact with nonprofits, and around 3% selected public recognition. So here's like more businesses would be more inclined to donate if there were social experiences provided by the nonprofit organization. And one of the last questions we had asked is, would it make you more inclined to donate or financially support a nonprofit organization if they offered tax reduction or other benefits? And so we had 34 responses here. 35% selected yes, 47% selected maybe, and 17% selected no. So businesses are on the cusp or on the line of like, if a nonprofit had offered benefits such as the tax reduction, they may or may not be more inclined to donate. And the last question we had asked is, if you were able to donate or financially support a nonprofit, do you understand how your donation would be used? So at 34 responses, 24% selected definitely yes, 47% probably yes, 24% probably not, and 6% definitely not. So most businesses are aware, they think, of where their money goes, but we still have a handful of who we surveyed that have no idea where their money goes when donating.
So now for our implications and recommendations that we think Waterworks might find helpful and what they want to know is that the greatest asset that a nonprofit organization can have is the ability to network. And so they need strong relationships with their donors and sponsors, volunteers, and also the media in order for them to, help themselves. And so keeping the donors up to date and satisfied by showcasing their work, what their money's going towards, and also their competence, and all that will help increase a financial support for them. And then advertising and marketing efforts should always be going on. I mean, that should never stop, but that goes for any business. But that will help them to maintain relationships, bring in consistent donations as well, and then also bring awareness to the public eye. So now to kind of conclude our whole our project, we found that the results that we gathered in this study indicate that most businesses were aware that Rowan County has nonprofit organizations. They just weren't aware about Waterworks other than those 4. And then businesses also showed interest in being a sponsor or a donator to a business, but Waterworks just has to kind of show show them their benefits and get that out there for those businesses to even be able to think that's an option to work for Waterworks or to work with them. So we believe that Waterworks can use this data that we collected to communicate to the community about their passions, their goals, and also the opportunities that they have. Thank you.
Questions? Okay, so can you go back to the first result slide? Okay, you're doing good so far. So now what I would suggest, maybe if you are going to send this PowerPoint to that manager. So basically you have a lot of data, and it looks like each data that you have, like each piece of data that you have, which is coming from each question you ask, all have implication of its own, okay? So it might be good to, just like what you did in consumer behavior, you show the data and result, right? And then you have to explain what it means. It means that if half of the organizations say yes, that they have supported nonprofit organization, that might be, implication could be, that might be the target group of organization. I don't know if they would be able to fill out what those company is. I don't know if you asked in that survey, but that could be the target of the company that the Waterworks could contact, right? Because those 51% say yes, right? They might be interested. Now the 49%, 49%, sorry, they said no. So if we know who they are, right, that could be a way to maybe send a package to educate them what Waterworks is, right? So I think you can identify that organization or in the future, right? That would be good to pinpoint exactly those who belong to 51%, who belong to 49%. Okay, next slides. So this is the reason why they don't support,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But
Or why they never have supported in the past.
right, so because it looks like the majority, right? Because it's, well, not majority, half.
Right.
Right? They said never thought about it, or they don't know what would be the benefit, right? So it looks like your study is pointing towards strategic oriented research. You remember that, between strategic and discovery? So the first two study, the Cleveland and Backcountry Peddler, that is more of discovery. You try to understand. But your study and 3 gems, that is more of strategic, because you try to come up with what could we do between this and this, right? And what you come up with, part of the strategy is, what if we offer a tax write-off? And maybe you can come up with other strategy, like what if we offer free space, right? Free space for that social experience, okay? So go to the next one. Next one. The one that talk about social, yeah, right. So that's a majority of respond, isn't it? 38% say the social experience would be something that they could receive from, I don't know, financially support someone. So you could tie those results together, okay, and offer as a recommendation. So sometimes when you come up with recommendation or implication, don't just focus on each slide or each piece of information. Maybe you can cross them over, right? And then you be like, oh yeah, that might be more useful, right? That people who have never thought about it, or they're not interested, they have no interest, right? Those two groups might need to be provided with incentives, right? Or they need to be aware of option. But some people, they might be aware what they could get in return, but they still, the problem they have could be that they don't know or don't trust what those money gonna go toward. Is it go to education, or it just give it to someone executive pockets, right? So that could be something that you put in the implication or recommendation, because guess what? They know that they need to promote. Everyone knows that they need to promote their business, right? But how? It's important to them, right? It's kind of insight that you are able to provide, okay? And because your research is more strategic oriented, that's what you want to offer. What are strategies that you think you could offer based on this result, okay? Any other questions? Good job, thanks. Next. Oh, yeah, let's do 2-3 minutes break. I really need to.
Can I go ahead and pull my stuff up while you're doing your break?
We're gonna have like a short break, which I know.
Intermission.
Do you have it on
Let's just get some.
They already said no.
Oh, no, they're not, they're just making sure that their stuff works, but we'll get set up.
Thank you.
All right, we'll come back in like 5, okay?
Is part of the grade giving the results back to?
No, but you should,
Okay.
right? Because she would,
Our business,
Right.
she probably needs to this because they're wanting
Huh?
our business, they're not gonna want these results because this isn't what they want, so.
No, I'm not worried about something like that. Oh.
Is it okay if we pull up our stuff?
Oh, I thought we were going next week. Well, that's what we already were getting it set up before she got back.
Told you. Told you we were gonna get five.
Where ours is really, it's 45 slides.
Okay.
Yeah, ours is really short too.
Okay.
It's not even a survey,
It's like a research.
Gotcha.
I'm just gonna sit until she comes back.
Just trying to get out. Honestly, it's surprising how quick they are our stuff on. Not too bad.
Yeah, like after each
She's
one,
like,
like-
so what you did wrong, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
Hey.
just tell them in the evaluation, right?
It's
In the
filming.
evaluation, say like, this is what you need to work on.
Okay.
She's gonna hear you guys.
Hmm? What are you doing?
Oh, it's on.
Oh.
She gonna.
Oh, she's not gonna do anything with this. Morgan's probably gonna do something with it.
Oh, really?
We gotta post it
Yeah,
on YouTube.
'cause on YouTube,
But yeah.
like all of ours?
Yeah, so our companies can see it.
Yeah, I thought she was sending
She
it.
said she was
Oh,
putting them
you
all
said
on
you put them on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Don't I have to ask permission for that?
You would think.
You're grown.
I don't care if I'm grown. She don't have my permission to post it online.
I think it falls under like a clause in the Catawba.
I was gonna hand this to her. I don't think they really
I would
care.
say
No.
'cause like in
Does anybody wanna see
school,
our,
yeah.
Research.
work? No? Get
Yeah,
into
see.
it.
We'll just see whatever's on.
Oh, it's not on there.
I was
Yeah.
not on there.
Our project
mean,
is
as long as you
different than
tell us.
everybody else's.
It doesn't matter. Oh, you guys have that glass company, really?
The non-breakable glass,
Mm-hmm.
Those
or
lights.
plastic bulbs or whatever.
The LED light fixtures.
Fluorescent lamp, shatterproof.
I guess. It'd
What
be
are they made
smooth
of?
if y'all use recycled plastic to make them.
They don't. They don't.
You just contributed to the
They
plastic.
should last like, they said like for like almost like, what is it, 50 years? Like the lights last, and then they really fix it.
That's like a really, really long time. That was one of their main selling points. Cause they're really expensive to get.
How expensive? Like how much?
I don't know, she wouldn't tell us, it
Perfect.
doesn't have it online, 'cause it's like, you buy them in like bulk and stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but they last a very, like, that's what they're having problem, like, getting people to like actually buy them.
Yeah.
I can see why.
Well, they have contracts. They just.
Yeah,
need
that's
more.
what it's all through, it's not like you don't buy them for your house and stuff like that.
Oh, it's more business.
Yeah.
It's like industrial, like.
Food manufacturers, prisons, stuff like
Oh,
that.
Josie.
I got ice cream on my wall. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, you're fine. Now I don't know how
This
to
is
get
lasting
this
so much
video on
longer than I thought it
YouTube.
would.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like 2 hours, maybe tops.
Well, yeah, what time does it start at? 3?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's about to be 2 hours tops.
Exactly. We're gonna be past that. By the time everybody gets done.
Oh,
Like the first two groups went 20 over 20
What?
minutes.
How do you
Yeah,
pause
the
it
first
right
two groups
now?
are really, really long.
I mean, I would do it because I do know how to work cameras, but at the same time, I don't want her to be like, why is it not recording? So I'm just not
Well,
gonna touch
because
it.
we're taking a 5-minute break. Why doesn't it be recording right now?
So she can record your conversation and rate you appropriately.
Yeah, because I was literally like talking about them and they were like, it's recording. And I was
Yeah,
like,
mine shot and mine shot.
Of course you're in the shot. It's right pointing towards
I
you.
know. I know. You so mean sometimes.
If you, if she, or am I gonna have to stand away?
Well, you asked dumb questions.
Yeah.
Am I in
it's
the
a-
shot? Of course
it's a
you're in the
joke.
shot.
It's called a joke.
Oh, sorry. I did.